Hello everyone, this is Marcel. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be discussing something that may be perceived as more of a nuisance than an actual problem. It's something that's much more typical when it comes to women and that men are generally expected to tolerate and accept regardless of the circumstances. And that is that some women will pin the guy down when they're in a relationship and force him to listen to the most irrelevant crap and emotional garbage that you could ever imagine. Some would refer to it as the guy getting used as an emotional tampon. In essence, all it is, during the current day, a woman will accumulate tension, stress. As much everything is with females, it's perceived emotionally. Well, the only way to get rid of that sometimes is to dump it off on someone else. Now that can be as abrupt as yelling and screaming and breaking stuff, or as subtle as listing off every single task of the day and how it made the woman feel. So why is it that I think this is worthy of an entire MGTOW video? The idea that a woman will sometimes just purge herself of emotional tension vocally, specifically onto the guy that she's in a relationship with. Let's break down a couple of things about it. There could be a lot more going on than people may realize. Firstly, outside of a close friendship or a relationship, men are not expected to have to sit down and listen to a whole bunch of emotional drama, garbage. It won't normally get directed towards other women because then it can become reciprocal and they get it right back. Furthermore, guys that are at least not at a minimal a suitor aren't expected to put up with it. You know, she goes up to a stranger and starts vomiting up all of this emotional drama. He's just going to shrug it off and walk away. He won't put up with it, and she's not going to feel any relief from the experience. It's pretty easy to establish off the bat that it's not a behavior that's tolerated in normal society between just random individuals. That in of itself is somewhat telling. Then you have situations where it becomes more of a power trip. You know, a woman has a bad day and comes home and just wants to vent. That's not such a big deal maybe. But when she comes home and wants her boyfriend to sit down and listen to everything she has to say, and how dare he want to walk away or, get a comment in or do something else? Whew, hell no. He's going to listen to her day. Now, some people might roll their eyes at that, but power plays are subtle. Chalk it up to yet another thing that women can do to men, which would be considered toxic or violent if it were done the other way around. I've had several girlfriends in the past that would get outright offended if I wouldn't let them finish the entire breakdown of everything that they wanted to tell me, and all of it was completely out of context for the day, for whatever it is that we were doing. See, the thing is that the woman is not stupid. Maybe I'm giving the average one too much credit, I don't know. But they're smart enough to know that the guy doesn't want to hear about 90% of what she's gonna say. She knows that the little blue pill guy is sitting there and being polite, nodding his head, saying, uh-huh, just to be polite. Maybe he really does want to make her happy and she's taking advantage of that. And that in of itself is attention and him sacrificing his time for her, and that shows her what, is most important to him. Reassures her that he cares enough to hear what she has to say. I am actually building up for something a little more sinister here. It's a situation that comes around a couple of times. I've had it done to me directly, whereas the whole sit down and hear everything that I have to say scenario can become rather dangerous. I had girlfriends that would actually use it in a sense of a form of torture. Now, before you laugh at me, I'm being serious. They would want me to hear and pay attention to everything that they had to say. And it would go on indefinitely. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they would still be talking. They would be breaking down all their little thoughts until the point where I would be, falling asleep or getting angry at the fact that I had to listen to all of this garbage that all of it was irrelevant. I mean, not even relevant to her. She could actually be saying that it's not important. She just wanted to say it. And the whole point was to see how long I would put up with it. It's kind of a shit test. How long will Marcel listen to this bullshit, and when will he finally snap? Well, that was the point, the end goal. When I snapped, then she had an excuse to start a fight. And if I didn't snap, then she could literally sit there and just watch me squirm for countless hours having to hear her out. There are some scenarios where it can become a form of psychological abuse. If you don't listen, you're in trouble. If you do listen, you go insane and accomplish hardly anything for several hours. Nothing's preventing the woman from going around the house doing what she wants to do, her little crafts and arts and stuff, and keeping herself busy while she's yakking, but the guy has to trail along and give input and stay there and listen the entire time. I would call that a more extreme situation though. Realistically, it all comes down to stress relief for the woman. Coming back to the before mentioned emotional stress that a woman accumulates over the day, it would be the equivalent of the guy kind of burning off the physical stress, the tension that he builds over the day. For guys, it's pretty common, if he's in a relationship with a woman, he's gonna want to do something physically, right? A way to burn off that stress, a way to kind of enjoy their partnership. It may be something with her, it may be something alone in the bathroom, who knows? It's just whatever he needs to do to get by. Relieve his stress, that tension. Well, feminist society, they're making it really vilified to expect that kind of treatment from someone he's in a relationship with. Maybe the guy can ask for it, but he can't expect it. But when it comes to emotions, that's a whole nother ballgame. They're allowed to do whatever they want to relieve their stress from that front. And for women, the things that go on in the bedroom are by far more emotional than they are physical. Now, it's an annoying misconception when people try and say that women don't have as much of a drive as men do. They do have equal, if not more so. They just express it differently. The way I see it, and how it kind of ties into this whole thing, when the woman sits him down and makes him listen to all that crap, it's pretty much the equivalent of dumping an emotional load right in his face. No, don't wipe that off. Leave it on there. I don't care if it burns your eyes. Let it soak in. It becomes kind of an expectation that guys are supposed to put up with that. And can you imagine the other way around? Like if a guy expected a woman to, no, you're going to take it in the face and you're not going to say anything about it. You're going to sit there and appreciate it. He's either going to jail or he's paying her and filming. It's another one of those circumstances where the guy is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. If he puts up with it constantly, she is eventually going to lose respect for him and get bored, move on, or find someone that's going to give her the kind of rough, arguing excitement that she really wants. But if he chooses to, shut her down, which will start an argument almost every time, then he's going to be the guy that ultimately falls for having been abusive and starting all of the arguments because they will be his fault. It's kind of interesting thinking back between the girlfriends that I've had that did that to me too, because as I would be listening to whatever they wanted to tell me, it usually was about their feelings and stuff that was bothering them, almost entirely negative. I could almost feel my energy going down, like my mood, my emotions dropping, and she would gradually start to feel better. It's almost like I was a battery and she was depleting me to refill her own reserves in the process of just talking, just using her voice to transfer all that negative energy over. And then she would be spunky and perky and feel great, and I would just feel like shit. I look up at the clock and realize that half of the day is gone and I got nothing done. In the end, it's all about attention. They want attention and validation. They'll either get it from the guy willingly or from him fighting with them, but they're still getting the attention either way, so no matter what, they win. The fact that they get kind of a representative measurement of the guy's tolerance, which translates into how much he values the relationship, is just kind of a bonus. As a thought, for me as well, there were times when I would intentionally act more interested in what she was saying to kind of throw her off, because I was expected to be annoyed by her doing that. That was the idea, was to annoy me with all this stuff. And I would start saying things like, no, tell me more about it. What happened? Why was that important? What were your thoughts on it? I want to hear more about your day, or more about blank. It would actually start to freak them out after a while if I acted even remotely interested in what they had to say. It was intended to be torture the whole time, at least for most of them that did it to me. A phrase that my instructor used to tell me comes to mind as I'm recording this video, and that is that constipation of the brain brings diarrhea of the mouth. Kind of a graphic way that I view what they do to guys sometimes. Also, sort of a final thought on this whole topic when it comes to stress and the dumping of stress on the guy, be it emotional or otherwise. Even if there's nothing sinister behind the woman's intentions, the number one killer of men, followed by cancer, is heart disease. Heart problems in general. For all of its miraculous qualities, testosterone does have some drawbacks. It shortens a guy's life. So the woman casually offloading the stress of her day on her boyfriend may seem harmless enough, but she is literally killing him, or at least taking years off of his life. That could be rolled into just the concept of having the stress from a relationship in the first place, forgetting the whole nonsense about them talking too much. Number one killer of all men in America has to do with the heart, and that can be directly affected by stress and the habits associated with a stressful lifestyle. Now, I can break that down to cortisol and, the metabolism, how the body interprets stress, but maybe better save that for another video. It just makes me wonder if these blue pill guys would still be interested if they knew it was taking years off their life, if you could actually put a number on it. But you tell me down below, is this just a silly, quirky thing that's not a big deal, or is it something more sinister that can come across as a form of abuse? I want to hear your thoughts. In the meantime, if you liked this video, you want to hear more content like mine, share, subscribe, and until next time, this has been Marcel.